Morning. It's bright and early. We're headed to go run the sprayer, and I'm optimistic that if all goes well, today will be one of my biggest days ever. The nice thing about driving to work at 4 o'clock in the morning is that there's really not very many people on the road other than Deer and Jeff right here taking the tanker to go get a load. There's a ride. Let's get it spooled up and ready to hit the road. So it's been about 2 days since I've checked in with y'all. It's been a tad bit on the wet side. We were letting the ground dry off, and yesterday was miserably windy. You probably could have sprayed yesterday afternoon, but 30 to 40 mile an hour wind, even if you were spraying something that's not gonna hurt either crop around you, just not good practice to spray with that kind of speed. I may not have done any field work, but I was really productive yesterday. I put in almost a 12-hour day just working on stuff, greasing, and putting some supplemental stuff in the cab. Got some cameras. I don't have the angle sorted out on these, but I got them installed, so that's like half the battle. And then of course we got our Midland MXT 500 50-watt radio. When you get a new piece of equipment other than putting diesel and diesel exhaust fluid in it, I would say that your Midland radio is probably next on the list in terms of priority. I also upgraded the tanker to a 50-watt radio, both running the big 6 decibel gain antenna, so we're ready to communicate from long distances. Today we're going to be headed over to Lerna to spray some 32% nitrogen as well as a little bit of residual chemical ahead of our last big field of corn. Other than that, we are done planting corn, and by we I mean my dad. I've got a lot of planting left to do with the soybean planter. That's why I'm hoping today is just an absolute grand slam. Okay, booms are going to be partially unfolded. I gotta fix a couple of valve bodies, or nozzle bodies, whatever you want to call them. I had to change 6 or 7 of these nozzle bodies that just were bad when I got the sprayer. I would imagine that maybe they just go bad over the winter from sitting. I really don't know. These two here though, right next to each other, were a folding issue. Other than the ones that needed replaced right out of the gate, these two right here broke on me the last day I was spraying. What happened is that my left boom section is sticking a little bit. So to unstick it, I was kind of shaking the sprayer back and forth. I didn't have this winglet secured. When I pulled up and pulled the hydrostat back, it kind of swung the wing out, came back and hit here. To be honest, I didn't even know that was possible because there's literally a stop right there. Right there, I guess. I've also gathered some intel on how to fix that wing that's sticking. It just needs adjusted, is all they said, but I don't know if I'll get to that today, unless it just gives me one heck of a time. We're gonna be spraying close to 20 gallons an acre today, so I may be using these size 8 air inducted tips. We'll see how it goes. I may warm up first thing with the size 6s, that way I can drive nice and slow around the edges. But the first field I'm starting on is every bit of 100 acres, and I'm spraying it long ways. I may decide fairly quickly to switch to the bigger air inducted tips. Just to make sure everything's in operating condition, we're gonna put some clean water through the boom, make sure that all the nozzles are working, and then we're gonna hit the road. Alrighty, look good to me. Well, let's head east. Jeff's running the tanker for me right now. Shortly after we're finished up, he's gonna be hopping in this field cultivator right in front of me and coming over and following my pass, getting this 32% nitrogen worked in. Let's ride. You can get places pretty quick at 34 mile an hour. The only thing I haven't been able to figure out on this sprayer is how to operate the heat. I figured out the air conditioning, but I, for the life of me, cannot get it to get warm. It was better off turned off than just blowing cold air on me, because the air coming in right now is a little chilly. But we made it. Get this unfolded and give Jeff a radio, see how far out he is. I'm sure he's not too far behind us. He's coming from north of Mattoon though, so he's got maybe 15 or 20 miles to drive. There goes my winglets, slowly but surely. Jeff, if you copy, how far out are you from Lerna?
Just getting ready to turn here at Lyles.
10-4, I'm on the northeast side of the big field. Don't have to wait long, he's right up the road. I can tell already that these disc ripper passes are not going to be fun to spray over. And look what it's doing to my boom. I've got no problem waiting a minute or two because I'm literally about to pee in my pants. That's what I get for chugging my caffeine on the way over here. Bad start to the morning. Lost an action camera on the way over here. It was my 360 camera that I use for pretty much all of my shots anymore. Rip this clean off the threads. Unfortunate, but I guess just the way it went. We're staged and ready to fill. Just on time, here comes Jeff. Let's get this 32 in the sprayer. Alrighty, we're locked and loaded. This is gonna be real rough, so I won't film for a little bit here while I get the ends on. We are off, targeting 19.9 gallons per acre. Can't really go much over 16 mile an hour without running the pressure super high. We don't really want to fog this stuff on, although it is pretty heavy, so it is forgiving. It'll find its way to the ground. Just not the best use of your product if you're putting high pressure on. My pride is definitely getting the best of me here. The easy way to spray any field is with the longest passes possible. That is basically perpendicular to the way that I disc rip this field. The issue with that is that it is rougher than crap out here. This cannot be good for my boom, but at the same time, I don't have to turn as much. I've already mentioned the fact that with the nozzle size I have on, shooting for almost 20 gallon an acre, it really does not take too much to get super high pressures. I'm not looking for that, just kind of trying to blow on this 32. So just gonna take my time and hold on. Almost finished up on this short 100-acre field. Keep in mind, this is where we did that major surface dirt work project last fall. Our concerns going into this crop, on this field in particular, is going to be residual compaction from moving all that soil around. I think long and even on the short term, we stand to gain more than we do to lose from compaction. And I also don't think we should underestimate the ability of corn to really root through troublesome soil. It just may take a year or two to work out some of the kinks from moving all that soil. I'm not saying that the surface optimization program doesn't have some flaws and caveats, but I think that the ultimate return will outweigh any cost up front. There's 100 acres down in less than an hour. You can make pretty good time with these sprayers. Oh, what a start to the morning. The left winglet folded up. First try. Didn't even have to jiggle it. I'm gonna go ahead and fill up one more time on the edge of this field, go right up the road, spray a 30-acre field, then go to a 75-acre field where I'll spray out, fill up again, and then that should give me enough to spray the last 30-acre field. Basically, the goal here is to move the tanker as little as possible. It's not as agile as the sprayer is. Okay, time to rock and roll the next field. It's always the small fields that give you trouble. I just whipped my boom breakaway around so hard that I think I popped the chain off. Yeah, clip the cable off, it looks like. I don't know if there's an easy fix for that. That's definitely a rookie operator mistake. This end piece does have its own swath control section, so I may actually be able to just shut that off and spray without it. I folded it back out. The issue is that if I just pin this down, I'm going to lose all of my room for error, because this is supposed to be your insurance against hitting things. If I pin it down, there's going to be no insurance, and I could actually bend the boom. But at the same time, I need to get this nitrogen sprayed. Okay, I'm just going to try spraying, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right, I'm going to have to find a more permanent pinning solution, because that's what that does if it doesn't have something holding it. For the sake of progress, I did what had to be done. I'm spraying on 60-foot centers right now. Not the best use of my machine, but then again, I also broke the wing breakaway and I could not find a way to secure it down enough to spray. Alrighty, finished that field up 60 foot at a time. That's better than sitting here waiting on Chris to bring me parts. He's bringing me a new piece of cable here in the next hour or so, so I'm gonna keep spraying on 60s, and then maybe at some point in time, I will get the cable and be able to fix that. What can I say? That's what happens when you let a rookie operate a machine of this size. Definitely still some learning to be done. not only for operating, but also for repairing. I feel much more confident in spraying around the outside with a full 120-foot boom, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start spraying in the middle, and then I'll clean up the end with the 120-foot pass once I get the breakaway fixed so it'll actually hold its level. The only counter argument you can make to that point is at 120 foot is where I broke the breakaway. So obviously, it's not all sunshine and roses out here. I've sprayed just under 20 acres of this field so far, which puts me with close to an empty tank. I am spraying close to 20 gallons an acre, so a 1,200 gallon tank doesn't go as far as it did when we were spraying 15. I'm gonna go over here, unfold, start filling, and hopefully within the next couple minutes of us completing that, Chris will be here with my replacement cable, and we can put that on and spray 120 foot at a time. Sometimes the only way to learn is by doing. Sometimes doing, you break things. Here comes Jeff with the big 4-wheel drive. Start working that 32% in. Planter will be close behind him. I guess that is assuming that it works up nicely. It definitely looks like it's dry on top, and we didn't get enough rain for it to be super wet underneath. Okay, here's our replacement part. Looks like I'm gonna need some tools.
I don't know if it's supposed to be, but this here all bent up.
What is?
This.
Probably not, but it don't matter. I'm probably not the first person to have done this. There's an hour we're not gonna get back, but it looks like we got the boom fixed somewhat. A few things we might have not gotten exactly in the right spot, but it'll spray. I talked a big game first thing this morning, but all things considered, it's not been my best start. Not only did I lose that camera, and have yet to hear if anyone has found it, I broke that breakaway boom section deal. Maybe it'll only get better from here, I hope. Okay, almost done with this one, and then we're gonna move on to the 30, and then we'll be completely done. It's not hard to see the difference between where I ran the ripper, the inline ripper with its original settings versus where I put it deeper in the ground. It was pulling up those big chunks before, and then I dropped it in another 3 inches, 4 inches, and it left these nice smooth berms across the top that definitely dried better because it got deeper tillage. That spot there on the end, and then the end rows, is not fun to cross over with the sprayer. It's another broken boom breakaway waiting to happen. At least that boom is still folding. That's the silver lining to today so far. We're learning, one day of spraying at a time. And we got a lot of time in this cab yet this season, so I'm not too concerned about a few hiccups out of the gate. 13.6, 5.9. Yeah, exit out, exit out. It'll figure itself out. Okay. Exit out. What are you trying to do? Exit out one more time. Let's make sure your vacuum's running. In the top left corner, hit the right arrow. Top right corner, sorry. Hit the right arrow. Okay, your vacuums are all running. No, that doesn't make any sense. No, no. If they're red like that, they're not planting. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe try restarting the entire planter. Just shut the thing down and restart it. Try it again. Oh boy, thank goodness I brought my Apple AirPods to work today. Dad's trying to run the bean planter because he wants me to plant this field with corn. I told him to just bring the corn planter over. He's having a little bit of a learning curve, much like me here in the sprayer, but for some reason he can't get it to plant, even though I've never had an issue getting it to plant. I really have no idea what the deal is. I may have to run out there and look once I finish this last 25 acres. I've been wanting to explain what's going on here, but I've been so darn busy, I haven't had time. These 4 fields over here east of Lerna are effectively our last 230 acres of corn to plant, other than possibly volunteering our services to the Mattoon FFA plot. The reason they're our last fields to plant is because they don't have any nitrogen on them. They're managed differently than the rest of our farm. Prior to tillage, we needed to get some 32% nitrogen worked into the ground to a tune of almost 20 gallons an acre, which is right around 70 pounds of nitrogen. Because I'm out here, I figured I might as well put some herbicide down. Originally, I was going to use a pound of atrazine and 2 ounces of generic Callisto. Very cost-effective herbicide program ahead of corn, with intentions of following it back in the post-application time period. Nitrogen put on top of the ground is very sensitive to volatilization, when it gets warmer out, you really don't want to leave it on top without working it in within a reasonable amount of time, 24 to 48 hours, or if there's a rain in the forecast. If it was cool, you could lay it out here and not really be concerned about losing a lot to volatilization. I was hoping to get a pass like this done first, but I didn't get my sprayer in time. Because of that, and I don't want to deal with cleaning out the atrazine and Callisto out of the tanker and the sprayer, I've cut them from the rotation here and just used 2 ounces of Zidua SC. Zidua is what we're using on all of our soybean ground. It's a little bit of a lesser rate for corn pre-plant. It's 2 ounces versus 3 1/4 that we're using on soybeans. Basically, this Zidua was the easier button. The only downside to using it is that it's about $5 to $6 an acre more than the Callisto and atrazine I was planning on using. And I would argue that Callisto and atrazine together are probably a better product up front on corn than Zidua, though this will help keep back the broadleafs and grasses. It'll do its job. It's just I'm paying a little bit of a premium to not have to clean out the sprayer. There's really not a ton of options to put down a head of corn that won't hurt your soybeans. The 32% is not a concern, it's just a carrier product of fertilizer. Obviously we want to get most of it down ahead of the corn here, but if I carry a little bit home in the booms, it's not going to hurt any soybeans I apply onto. That concern with volatilization or the vaporization of the nitrogen into the atmosphere is why we have the field cultivator working right behind me. The temperature is not super hot today. The sun's shining. It's going to be about 65. Really, you don't need to get it worked in that quickly. You could let it sit for a couple days at this temperature, but we are going to try and plant this today, so we already have it rolling. I'm going to finish this up and head home. It's been a slower morning than I was expecting. I'm going to grab the corn planter, also load the corn seed tender, move over this way, plant this as fast as possible, then hopefully knock out some more beans later this evening. I've been remote display accessing the 8R370 with the DB60, and Dad is not having very much luck operating that, so we may be doing a little switcheroo and he can plant this. That's the issue with switching away from the machine that you're used to. If everything's not set up the exact same, regardless of how intelligent you are, it's not a knock on my dad, it can be a little bit challenging to learn how to operate in such a short period of time. And planting is not something you really want to mess up. Soybeans are very forgiving. Corn isn't as much forgiving. Dad's going to be planting soybeans with that, so we can always clean that up later. I'm happy to report that my dad finally figured the planter out. I've been spying on him. He was having some issues with some rows, and I eventually told him, well, if you can't figure anything out logically, just turn it off and turn it back on, and that usually does it. Must have been the trick. Alrighty, I'm headed back west to home base. 32%'s on. Jeff's running the field cultivator behind me. He'll get a decent head start. If the ground's wet at all, which I don't think it is, he'll be in perfect shape by the time I get over here with the corn planter. Let's get some corn in the ground. Finally made it back home. I really need to hose this thing down and get all the 32 off of the frame. I said earlier, that stuff is really corrosive. It'll cause a lot of rusting if there's anywhere where paint's off. And I'm sure because this is used and it's sprayed tall corn, a lot of paint is off in a lot of places. I'm not going to get to it right away. I did go ahead and order a 24mm box end ratcheting wrench for tightening and loosening the breakaway on the end. That's exactly what you need for that, and it's not what I had. Just another step in figuring this thing out. It feels like I've already put in a full workday and it's not even noon yet. That's how this is going so far. There's definitely some roses and thorns at the same time. Mostly thorns though. Stopped by home, grabbed a few Coke Zeros and some snack mix, and most importantly used the bathroom. Feel like a brand new man, ready to conquer the afternoon. Not exactly the Oval Office. It'll do though. Been spoiled by the 8R370. Won't lie, the Hagee has been growing on me. Not sad to be leaving it behind today though. Oh lordy, I'd already forgotten how rough these fixed front axle tractors are. That ILS and the newer stuff is a godsend. Actually, I think it was available in this model, but it just wasn't as popular. Now everything's ordered with ILS standard. It's not free, but it's worth the money. Between the ground being a little too wet in some places and a lot more rain in the forecast over the next couple of days, along with another cool down in temperature, some people are opting not to farm, others are putting stuff in the ground, and it's interesting to roll across the countryside and see who's hopping on the bandwagon and who's not. It appears to me that the up-off pros are taking it easy today. Taking it easy is not the right way to put it. They are not planting, probably doing a lot of maintenance. They've actually got quite a bit planted. I gotta give them props because they normally don't plant as much as early as they have, but they've definitely shifted gears this year. I'm gonna feel really bad about encouraging them to plant more earlier if this ends up being a terrible year to plant stuff early. Usually you just get kind of scared earlier on. By June, you won't regret having everything in the ground. Wow, Jeff moves quick with that 9620R. He's already gone from the 100-acre field. My goal today is to catch him. It's unlikely, but not impossible. That's pretty good timing, ladies and gentlemen. There's Chris with the seed tender right as we're pulling in and unfolding. Assuming we can remember how to unfold this thing. Oh yeah, just like riding a bike, and faster than the DB60 because there's not 20 steps you have to do to unfold. Just a couple buttons you click, and you can do multiple of them at once. We got a side-by-side of Beck's corn out here that's going to be exciting to harvest this fall. 6374 and 6585, targeting 35,000 plants an acre. Let's get them in the hopper. I may be wrong, but Dad lets me plant these fields because Katie and I are in charge of working on these acres. I think it's less to do with responsibility of doing it ourselves and more so with a lack of responsibility on his end in case he misses something up. That way he doesn't have to feel bad. Whoa! We got Beck's 6374 113-day corn here on the left side. Plenty of talc in there because there's special seed treatment on both hybrids. And on the right side, we have 6585. They're both 45 units. I would imagine the only difference is maybe seed size. Bigger seeds are going to fill more space per unit. That's the only thing I can think of because I'm pretty sure the people who load the seed tin are doing it right. So they're just seed size differences. Boy, oh boy, do we have a powder here east of Lerna. Plenty of moisture underneath it. This is ideal soil preparation right here. That field cultivator does a wonderful job. I can't say that I'm concerned about moisture being in the ground right now because there is rain in the forecast, pretty much guaranteed chance. When these row units come over, open that trench up and seal it back in, they pack down that soil to hopefully hold any moisture that could escape down in the ground. That way our corn starts imbibing water as soon as possible. That way we don't have to deal with a cold rain later causing some negative impacts. Parked filter cleaning, no way! This happened last time I ran the corn planter. Has Dad just been kicking the can down the road on a parked filter cleaning on me? Let's see if we can just skirt by here. Flipper to planter. Target population is going to be 35,000. I don't see that, it's probably in seed setup. Rates, 35,000. Okay. Running 35,000, planter run, that's our target. We turn the generator on. I'm familiar with this now because my planter's got a similar system. Generator's on, okay. Pop her up. Now we need to fire up the vacs. This planter only has 2 vacs versus my planter's 3. Similar deal. Really all of our planters are the same, other than just a few different features here and there. Now that the vac's running, we can just hit this button, hit it again. I guess I hit the wrong thing, and then we can fill. Okay, that's the same thing mine says. Fill it again. It's shooting seed out the back like a rocket. That means we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, it's still flashing at me. I'm gonna try and plant without doing a parked filter cleaning. I sure hope it doesn't stop me. The power was so low that when I went to pull out of there, it shut the PTO off on me. That happens if you get low power. Dad's menu system isn't quite as straightforward as mine. Generator's on. This thing's not gonna plant if I don't do a parked cleaning. Oh, I know better than to try to plant, but I don't want to sit here and wait. We are going to do north line. There is no line here, so we will just go ahead and set the next one up ready to roll. Steer on. Is it just bad luck that this thing asked me to do a parked cleaning last year when I was planting some of Katie and I's corn, or what? Not sure what the deal is, but that's bad timing for me because I was planning on going every bit at 12 mile an hour with this high-speed planter. I'll try and plant this in row. We'll see what it says. Nope, it about killed the tractor. I gotta do a parked filter cleaning. This will take every bit of 15 minutes. Okay, engine. Parked cleaning, turn off PTO. It's not gonna say yes until it's detected no movement. Okay, and here we go. Okay, well, that's a bad start. About the same start as I had with every project so far this morning. The real question is, Who has to pay for the fuel during the park filter cleaning? Dad, because it's his tractor and it's his tractor that's being silly, or Katie and I, because it's on a field we're farming, where it's happening? I don't know. As they say, patience is a virtue. Missed a call from Dad, and of course I tried calling him back twice, and he doesn't answer. And then he'll try calling me when I'm doing something important. This is kind of the phone tag you play during planting season. Pop into Operations Center real quick. Here's all these 4 fields in Lerna. I'm sitting on the northeast corner of the big field. The crossways pass are from the sprayer. The up and down, north and south, is from Jeff the field cultivator. He's worked this, he's worked that. He's working on the 30-acre field, running 50 acres an hour straight line according to the Operations Center, which means I would have to start right now and run very fast to catch up with him. So I don't think that's going to happen. He's got to hop over here and work that as well. Either way, it's been a slow morning into midday. Dad is over here southeast of the main farm. The DB60 has its own icon for some reason. I think because it actually has a data link on it. He's planting through there. He's paused for some reason. I don't know. He's got more issues than I've ever had with that planter. The rest of our equipment's just parked here at the farm. You can see there's one of the tillage tractors. There's the Hagee. There's a combine there, which I don't know. It's definitely not parked there. The combines are in the barn, as well as this tractor, but I think the shed messes them up a little bit. That's what we're working on today. My filter cleaning should be done any minute now. Okay, it's actually only been about 5 minutes. Gave me just enough time to eat the rest of my snack mix for lunch. Hopefully this is the last step. Plot twist, we may just be getting started. Okay, well, I'll check in with y'all in a little bit. I guess I did actually plant a couple feet before I decided I didn't have enough power to roll, albeit in a less than ideal or even level spot because we're right here at the entrance. I can go ahead and kind of check depth. A little bit of a hump here. Soil conditions are just phenomenal. Plenty deep in the ground, I think. Maybe it wasn't planting yet there. There we go. Green. There may have still been some Pioneer seed left over in the bottom of the tanks. I'd say 1.5 inches. One over here. Oh, okay, that's a lot deeper. Yeah, that's every bit of 2 inches. Don't really want to go much farther than that. Corn needs to be a minimum of 1.5 inches in the ground. Really, you can go 2.5 depending on the upcoming weather conditions. One thing is, with cold weather in the forecast, depth is actually your friend, because the deeper you are in the ground, the more insulated your seed is from the variation on the top upper area of the soil and obviously the atmosphere. In a perfect world, I'd probably prefer to have my nitrogen worked in and my herbicide right on top. I like the idea of the herbicide acting as a net on the top layer of the soil. Obviously, it does require a little bit of rainfall for activation, and it may not last as long, though it's not as dispersed through the top couple inches of the tillage layer from the field cultivator. The nitrogen obviously has to be in the ground because we don't want it volatilizing at all. The only way to fix that in the ideal scenario that I just mentioned is to put a starter system on your planter. I'm not opposed to starter, though I'm not confident that it really gives you the advantage that you need at the end of the day to justify the logistical nightmare as well as the investment in equipment. It definitely makes your corn greener when it pops out of the ground, but here in central Illinois, and it could be different where you are, Kentucky, West Texas, I don't know. I mean, every area is different. But in the highly productive areas of central Illinois, I'm sure Iowa, I just don't know that when the combine rolls through the field that you're really gonna see a huge difference. Part of the issue is that our soil is already very rich in nutrients. Although it's not quite as dense under the plant like a starter system would make it, the plant doesn't have to look that hard to find nutrients in the ground. I do know one scenario where starter is ideal, and that is planting in less than optimal growing conditions, especially in terms of temperature. The colder it is, the slower your plants are going to grow. The slower they grow, the slower the roots grow. The slower the roots grow, the less soil they come in contact with. Less soil they come in contact with, less nutrients they have access to. There is something to be said there, though. I think most years here in my area, you're probably not actually going to pay for a starter system or see a massive advantage over your standard non-starter high management system like what we use. I know everyone has different opinions on that, and I do respect you all. That's what I think. Not saying anyone else is wrong, just what we do here for convenience. Putting a liquid nitrogen like 32% with a herbicide ahead of corn planting is really a poor man's starter system. A lot of people refer to that as the weed and feed. Basically, you're killing weeds and feeding your crop at the same time. It's not the ideal scenario, though. It's better off than starting naked. Like I said, a lot of these farms here where we're planting this stuff, putting the nitrogen on, they're managed differently than our growing grower standard on our farm. We're putting anhydrous on in the fall, so we've got every bit of 100 to 120 pounds of actual in the soil already. The roots just have to get down to it. Both this management and our own management will get a side dress nitrogen pass as well once it's out of the ground. I think that you really can't go wrong either way personally. And honestly, you can do whatever you want as long as it works for your farm. The real issue with this tractor is that it is an interim Tier 4 engine and emission system. It has the particulate filter, but it does not have the diesel exhaust fluid. Although the diesel exhaust fluid is a pain to put in and obviously pay for, it does reduce the amount of times that your tractor has to regen the filter because the emissions are cleaner, requiring less filtration on the back end. These interim Tier 4 engines seem to regen once every 12 to 16 hours if I had to guess. For some reason, this 8310R in particular never fully completes its regenning process. This eventually results in it being constricted enough that it requires a parked filter cleaning. I'm not too thrilled about it, but I don't really have a choice. I don't have another tractor ready to go. If I had my planter over here, I'd be halfway done with this field by now because I've been sitting here for 30 minutes. I literally just completed the filter cleaning and then it immediately told me exhaust filter restricted. That's why I'm still getting the caution. I'm just shutting this thing off, turning it back on, and seeing where that lands us. Oh, you'd think it's a Monday. It's not, it's Tuesday. I can't plant without all the power, come on. Jeez. I don't even have enough power to go 9th gear, 5 miles an hour. This is just a joke. I'm gonna keep dragging this planter through the field. It doesn't like going 4 miles an hour, and it actually performs better at 10 than it does at this speed. Oh, gotta love the emission systems. Might as well get comfortable. We're doing another one. Maybe this one will be faster since we've already done all the legwork. Oh yeah, we started at halfway. So we're like half the way to victory. At least our in-row looks nice and straight. I only managed to plant 1 row over on the neighbor, so we'll take that small victory today. It is complete. I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm gonna plant. See how this goes. That's more like it. Right at 10 miles an hour. Fishtailing at the end of the marker. Wow. I'll tell you what, everyone, when this tractor's pushing enough ponies out under the hood to really stretch the legs on this planter, it is an absolute cheetah back there. Flying across the prairie right now, doing 11 miles an hour, and a great job at it. Look who showed up to help plant corn. Little Lenny. He sure is growing up quick. His mom was here too, but we've made so many rounds in such a short amount of time that she got out and walked back to get the car. Lenny's staying here with me for a couple rounds. Lenny, what do you think about farming?
No.
Yeah, where's your hat at? You want Daddy's hat? It's a little dirty. Oh, yucky. Yucky, sweaty hat. Oh, that thing needs replaced, Lenny. You want to go home with Mommy? She had enough bouncing around. Her and the baby weren't having fun. Okay, Allie and Lenny clocked out for the day. It's just me. Closing in on 80 acres completed out of 97 in just over an hour's worth of actual planting. I would have already been done with this and the next field if I didn't have to do those 2 parked regens. Oh well, just trying to stay positive. This is our last couple fields of corn. Then we're gonna focus all of our efforts on beans. Seems to me like Dad is slowly figuring out the soybean planter, and he did come across another issue. The left seed tank had the same blockage issue that the right one did. A piece flaked off of the conveyor of our older seed tender. Another reason why I regret using it. I'm having a really difficult time deciding if someone started a small forest fire over there or if that is someone just going balls to the wall with tillage. It looks like dust. If it is, that's pretty impressive. I wonder if maybe the trees are blocking the wind so it's coming straight up. Headed to this field's exit as we speak. How's this for performance? On 97, almost 98 acres, target population of 35,000 even, we planted 34,956 average per acre. That's almost on the money. That's off by 44 seeds per acre to get the 35,000. That's not even a rounding error. That's less than a rounding error. The only flaw to this planter and tractor combination that we have found so far is that the rows get kind of crooked as you pick up speed. based on what I'm seeing on the DB60 and the aTrippyFarmer when I'm planting pretty quick, 9, 10, maybe even 11 mile an hour, it's still going straight as an arrow. So I almost wonder if it's the lack of ILS on this tractor and front duals that could be the problem. As you can see how it's kind of fishtailing through here, sliding back and forth, and it's not very much, maybe 5 inches each way, but you take 5 inches each direction, that's a 10-inch sway. Not going to be fun to spray down the row, I can guarantee that. I think even if we had to settle for the same horsepower, just upgrading the front end on a brand new 8R tractor would be leaps and bounds better than what we're getting right now. Although you could definitely argue that the crooked rows don't cost you any money. And some would say you can fit more corn in a crooked row, so definitely some truth to both sides. Okay, folding up here. Unless something goes terribly wrong at the next field, I'll probably skip over it, just because I'm trying to get this knocked out as soon as possible while still doing quality work. Not been the greatest day for productivity based on all the issues we ran into. That's like $1,000 worth of fertilizer. And no, that's not us, that's this neighbor's. When we started working dirt over here and learning today, there wasn't a soul that was out and about yet turning anything over. Now they're all around. Field cultivators, planters. Haven't seen a sprayer yet, but maybe I scared all the other sprayers away with my boom breakaway issues. I've put close to 200 acres of corn in the ground this afternoon and should be getting a low seed tank alarm soon. Had enough seed in at 35,000 plants per acre to do about 200-ish acres. Only put 90 units in total. That puts us at about 30, maybe less than that, 25-ish acres short. 41 acres in the ground, and just like clockwork, got a low seed in the tank warning. Chris has got some loose bags in the truck that ought to finish this out. Okay, the planer didn't run out, but I'm sure it's pretty close to tap dry. I did the math, I've got 34 acres left at 35,000 plants per acre, 80,000 units per bag. I need just a shade under 15. So what I'm gonna do is put 7 bags of the 6374 in its tank, and then 7 bags of the 6585 in the other tank to keep my side-by-side split going. And then if I run out after that, well, unlikely, but I'll throw another couple bags on. Whoa! That's the left tank, and that's the right tank. Almost mirror images of each other. Okay, 14 bags in total. That's a little bit of a workout after not doing much for the last couple hours. I was wrong. I didn't have 6374 and 6585. I just had 6374. So both sides have 6374. I'm going to change that in my documentation and then roll on. Alrighty, the last pass of the first plant of corn 2023 right here. We are done the first time. I wish we were this close to being done with soybean planting. We still have quite a bit of those to put in the ground. Our soybean planter guy has been dragging his feet. Is anyone else ready for bed? I sure am. That'd be a pretty convenient dinner on my way home from this farm. Right on the path. Finally made it home. Probably ought to go ahead and fill up the Hagee tonight so I don't have to do it first thing in the morning. Dad must have ran out of beans because he's not planting. I missed you, 8R370, very much. Just assuming this is where he wanted this parked, I really have no idea. It's not like there's exactly a shortage of parking space. A short moment of silence for my action camera. That was never recovered today. Lost in the line of duty. It was bound to happen at some point. 3 years of making these videos and I hadn't lost a camera yet. Not a drone, not an action camera. We finally had one leave. Most people by now have broken one or lost one or something. I guess I damaged the lens for this camera right here pretty bad. Heck, a couple days ago, more like a couple weeks ago now, when it fell off the back of the backhoe. Might as well fill the Hagee up tonight while it's still somewhat warm. I'm sure it'll be chillier in the morning. There's my fuel gauge right there. I'd say I've sprayed close to 1,000 acres. I don't know, I'm kind of behind. Used about 7/8 of the tank, so I'll go ahead and top that off. Maybe I can get up even earlier tomorrow, knock out a few more fields of soybean residual. I'm glad we used that Zidua on the corn because I did not want to have to clean this out. The only thing working against me tomorrow for spraying is that it's supposed to get rather windy about mid-morning. So if I can get up super early, get a couple loads off, that would be perfect. I'm getting a lot more used to navigating around this thing. Oh, as I almost trip on the back. I really ought to hose this thing down, but the field cultivator's blocking the hose. Alrighty everyone, I'm gonna watch the last couple gallons of the 150 to 200 gallons I'm putting in the tank right here, and then I'm gonna go home. Sorry if everything hasn't been as exciting lately. I haven't had as much time to do the things I'd normally do during planting season. Between the newer planter and the sprayer, I'm just moving around so much that it's just not really physically possible for me all the time to fly the drone and do all the other stuff. And I lost my other camera, but I'm sure you've heard me say that already. Anyways, I'm going to be at it bright and early tomorrow, maybe get some stuff sprayed and planted. Got some rain moving in, I'll talk about that more tomorrow, be a little more pertinent with our decision making. As always everyone, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day everyone. Peace!